Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 here in the pristine, untouched wilderness of the Calmlands. So there won't be a lot of water splashing down in front, that'll keep it reasonably dry, so you're less likely to have, there'll be a little bit coming down there, but you're less likely to have diesel running away down across the hillside. So we're going to drop that one in there like that. That's great. I like that. I do, actually. I really like that. The other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to go here. Now, some farms I've worked on will have... Actually, pretty much everybody these days has a concrete surface around their tank to aid with spills. And a lot of them will have a bund on them anyway. That's not quite lined up straight. That's not lined up straight. Well, it's too late now. I've already spent the money on it. Nothing I can do about that now. So we want concrete rather than tarmac in there. Concrete will work better. You wouldn't put tarmac around a diesel tank because the diesel will spill out onto the tarmac, and what it actually does is it will break up the tarmac. It will actually, because tarmac, the main thing about tarmac, or asphalt as you call it elsewhere, but you know, tarmac does give you a bit more of a clue as to what the stuff is made from. Tar is it's hot tar. Tar is warmed up and then mixed with stones, and then it is placed onto the surface of the road that it needs to have the tarmac put onto it, whether it's a big road or you know, you're patching something, and then it is tamped into place, and then once the tar goes cold, it stays there. Tar, however, stays as a liquid, so regardless of how much it sets, regardless of how cold it gets, it still stays as a liquid. So regardless of how long it stays there, it's still going to be in liquid form. Now, it may not look very liquid, admittedly, but it is still a liquid. And I'll get back to that in just a second. The diesel, if that falls onto it, will degrade the tar. It actually works to dissolve the tar, and it will destroy the surface. So if you were to put tarmac under this, and you had little bits of diesel being splashed onto it on a regular basis, it wouldn't take very long at all for the integrity of the surface of your pad here to be utterly destroyed. So I'm actually going to bring that concrete pad all the way out over to here. And that's going to be our refilling station. And then I'm going to bring the rest of that concrete pad down that way, a little bit further there. And put that down there like that. And it's just going to have a corner on it like that. So then the vehicle can go onto the concrete pad for refueling. But I'm not going right up to the house. I am leaving a little bit of a gap up against the house, and that is quite a deliberate choice. Yeah, this is why we kind of need to do it like this. I'll tell you what we can do now. I can quickly go over this, and we will tidy up these two ends like this. And then the hired help can carry on with doing the seed drilling, so we're not going to be having to sit around and wait for that for absolutely ages, which is what I'm a little bit concerned is going to happen. And then I can go racing off up through here. And I can do the same on this end. Like that. And now we can just allow him to go and finish the cultivating in there. And then we'll refuel this one after we've done cultivating. The other tractor can refuel before he starts doing the seed drilling. I'll bring you back here. We've also got to reload, and we've got to just make sure that we can refuel from that thing before we go and get too carried away anyway. Right, so we'll go to you over here. Now, in theory, I reckon we refuel from this point, and we buy the fuel from in here. So this silo is empty, total capacity 25,000 and used is in there. So if I go in here, I can buy 25,000 for 57,000 euros. I don't want to do that, and I also don't want to buy 1 litre either. So I'm going to do that. That's 10,000. 5,000 is 11.5 grand. 2,000 litres. Might be better if we just go with 1,000 to start with. That's 2,300 euros. Right. That's a fair chunk of change for our small-scale farm that we've got right here. Right. We now have fuel on the farm. We've got a pressure washer and we've got fuel taken care of as well. So I should, in theory, be able to bring this one over here. Now, I do get told off sometimes, some people saying that I should stop the tractor before I do any refueling. Yeah, I suppose technically I should, but it's diesel, and you can drop a lit match into a diesel tank. You can drop a lit match. You can, like, it takes a lot to get diesel to actually ignite. If it was petrol here, yes, absolutely. But a spark from an engine on diesel, it ain't gonna do anything. Right. And it does work from this end. That's excellent. That's just what I wanted. So we've got... The only issue I've got with that is I put it in slightly crooked. And you can see that from up here. But it's a bit difficult to line it up with that shed. And even now, I'm not entirely convinced that I have got it crooked. Because if I look at it from this angle, it looks straight-ish. I don't know. Yeah. It's a job to tell, that one is. It's a genuine job to tell. Right, so I'm going to bring Noisy Boy down over this way. And we're planting oats, so I suspect that we're going to need to reload the seed drill a couple of times for this particular one. I'm going to go here, and yeah, I'm just sort of hugging the edge of it right there, purely because it'll make it easier for the hired help to figure out what's going on with the rest of that field. And then I'll bring you down over this way. And I think I'm just going to put the hired help going right there, and I'm going to lead them to it. There we go. Roaring a bit to get up here, so maybe I should have helped him out a little bit on that. Very, very noisy. We've got the exact same hired helper working in both of these. See? Exact same hired helper in both of them. Oh, Senleia's really clever. She can sort of morph between both of them. That's what's happening. We got Senleia who's sort of magically controlling both of them. And hopefully that seed drill will be able to work just fine up there. Now, as soon as this one is finished in here, I really, really hate when hired help does this and leaves a little bit at the end of every single row. Now, I think that is because the cultivator itself is recording just where it is on the back of the tractor as the start of the work point, but it doesn't actually, so it's telling the hired help, the mod is telling the hired help that the point that it starts cultivating is directly behind the tractor. But it doesn't actually start cultivating until near the back of the cultivator. So while the mod is telling the game one thing, it's doing something different. And that's down to a mistake with the mod itself. That is not down to game limitations, that one. There are definitely things that are down to game limitations, but that one's not a game limitation thing. That is a poor mod design thing. And I know some people say that I am a bit harsh when it, if I, pick out the criticisms on mods and say, well, it's poor modding. And I freely admit that I wouldn't be able to make a mod, but I would be able to adjust that mod in such a way as to have the hired help recognize where the working area is if the working area is further back. That is something I can do because it is that simple. So that is a daft mistake on the part of the modder. The person that created this mod The rest of the mod I like. I think it's good. I think this is a really nice mod. It's well made. You've got animations and actions and everything on it. But that bit right there, that is poor. That is just poor oversight. I would say most likely the modder created this mod and then didn't properly test it. That's my theory on this. I mean, I could be wrong. It might just be down to this tractor. In which case, my whole theory of what's wrong with this mod goes completely out the window. But I don't think it's that at all. Looking at the way that it's picking it up, because when you press V to start picking it up out the ground, when you're using it manually, that's that instant it stops cultivating. It stops cultivating immediately. Even though you've still got an animation that is still saying that it's cultivating, it's actually stopped by that point because you've already hit the button to tell it to lift out the ground. And as soon as you do that, it stops working in the field. So if you look down here, you get to that point right there, and it'll stop there, and he's lifted out of the ground, has decided that that's where he's going to stop. So, I mean, if I travel along here, like this, and boom, I hit V. It's still in the ground, but it's lifting out. Like, so the animation for the work was still there, but it had actually stopped working. And yeah, the cultivator bit, see right there, that doesn't actually start cultivating it until it's further back. So he's got, what he's done is he's given instruction to the game that the hired help, he's telling the hired help that the cultivator starts directly behind the tractor and the actual cultivator starts near the back of the machine. And that is a mistake on the part of the mod creator, just not setting those parameters correctly. And the irritating thing about that is something that I do find irritating when I use a mod. If that is the issue, and you do see this come up on I see it on a few different mods. The thing that irritates me about that is that it is a really, really small, insignificant thing to do when you're actually creating the mod. Because I know this, because I've actually altered that myself. And I can't make 3/4 of the mod. I can't code 3/4 of the mod. The little bits that I can do are the really basic, simple bits. And that's one of those really basic, simple bits. I can do that. So if I can do it, there is no possible reason that the modder couldn't do it because it was too difficult a thing to set up. There is absolutely no possible way that it's not been done because the modder found it too difficult. It's simply that the modder made a mistake or didn't bother to test it properly. One of those two scenarios. Both of which mean that when I go and grade this mod, it loses points. I would grade it, like, overall, I think this mod is really good. And I like it, but it's definitely only getting 3 stars. Because of that thing with the hired help. That thing with the hired help, it irritates me every single time. It really does. I really, really don't like when something like that happens. So, because the rest of the mod actually works just fine, I haven't really got any issues with it. I don't like that I can't lower it down properly. So, I'm even tempted to knock it down to 2 stars because of that, but I don't think overall this mod deserves just 2 stars. That seems a little bit harsh, so therefore I'm going to give that cultivator 3 stars. And I was saying the other day about rating maps. You should always go and rate maps. If you give a mod creator a good rating, then they get paid a little bit more. So it's always good to go and rate the mods. Some people say, I quite often give out a 5-star rating for various different mods, but the other people have put into the comment section that they very, very rarely will give anything a 5-star rating. They will normally give something a 4-star rating, especially maps, because with a map, it's, if you're saying here's 5 stars, what you're saying to the mod creator is this map is absolutely 100% perfect. There's nothing you can do to improve on this map. Whereas if you give it 4 stars, you're saying this map is fantastic, but there is still things that you can do to improve on this map. And the argument being that you can never have something that is so perfect there is no room for improvement. I mean, I would say that there are 2 or 3 maps that turn up in each version of the game, and have done, in each version of the game, that would definitely be worthy of a 5-star rating. When you look at it like that. When you say, yes, this map is perfect. There is no room for improvement on this map anymore. There's been several updates on this map. There have been several changes on this map. Different things have happened on this map now. And we've reached the point where this map is now at the absolute pinnacle of the map creator's art. There is nothing on that particular map that could be done to improve it. And I think that we have had a few examples of just such a map in each version of the game. They are few and far between, don't get me wrong. I tend to be a little bit more generous with my grading, especially when it comes to maps. I will tend to throw out a 5-star rating more frequently than I do with other mods. I tend to drop a 4-star rating on a lot of mods unless I'm really impressed with it, because of the, there's always room for improvement. But when it comes to actual maps, I do tend to throw out a 5-star rating personally more often than from what I've been reading from the comments from a few people who've said some different things about it, because I personally feel it's encouraging to the map creator to receive those 5-star ratings. It's an encouragement to continue with what they're doing and continue with updates. I never actually mark a map. I don't even give it a rating at all until it's at least had its first update. If a map doesn't get a first update, it doesn't get a rating from me. I don't rate it at all. And if it does get a first update, then I will rate it. And I do confess to being quite generous when it comes to map ratings, because I recognize the amount of work that goes into creating a map. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff been done in order to get that map to the point that it's at, and I feel therefore that it deserves a little bit of recognition. I feel that effort deserves some recognition. However, that being said, there are plenty of maps that I have seen on the Mod Hub that I look at and I think, yeah, I'm not giving you anything more than 3 stars, mate. That's... yeah, there's so much more that could have been done on here, and I feel that you've missed a lot. Now, I've recently been trying to pick out a map for my next time-lapse one, and I had just gone through screenshots of maps, looked at a few different ones, and thought, yeah, that's actually a really, really good map right there. I think I want to have that one, and yeah, we'll just go with that, and I'll say it's going to be this one. I'm not going to tell you which ones they were, but there were 2 in particular. There's one I thought, you're pretty certain this is going to be the next map. If it's not the next map, then this one definitely will be, because if one of those isn't very good, then the other one's got to be, because I'm looking at these screenshots. I went and had a look at these maps. And you know when you get a map, I mean, it's a bit difficult with this one, because this one's just one big wide open space, so this one doesn't have quite so much of it. But, I mean, let me just jump down here a minute. He can carry on what he's doing. We've got some extra bits just kicking around the house here. We've got a few details here, and then there's the barn and the sheds and so on. But even when you sort of skip that bit, there's a lot of variation with this one. We've got the little bit of field here. We've got unique items around. We've got the trees spread out. This map has got a nice feel. There's different areas and so on. We've got the stream that runs down through here. Different types of trees in places. There's active traffic running around. Feels nice. Even though this map is just pretty much a blank canvas, it still feels nice. There's still some work gone into this map to make it as good as it is. And we've also got the forestry areas. I went and had a look at these maps. Now, these maps are fully formed. These maps have got fences and hedgerows and stuff like that. I mean, this is just one great big wide open space right here. It's difficult to do a lot with this, but they have. The amount of just the texturing that they've put across it with the flowers and different bits that have been scattered randomly, the odd bushes here and there, it helps to give this map a nice feel. You got a feel of something natural. You got a feel of something that's actually alive and, you know, a part of something. And you got these little bits of landscape here and there. This gives these little bits here, these little parts, they give this whole map just a little bit of life, don't they? At least I feel they do. Even for a wide open landscape like this, which is basically just completely open so that you can build and do however you like in a relatively easy way without having to go down the route of chopping down 10,000 trees before you get there, which some people just don't want to do. So it's beautifully done, but there's also life, and there's just little bits here and there that make it as well. Like you've got just these extra bits in different places, and I like it. I think that really adds to the overall feel of this map. So I went and had a look at these other two, and when I'm looking, I'm walking around. There's hedgerows, they've got the fields, they've got roads, but it all just looks lifeless and dead. And it occurred to me that the reason is they've used the same hedge for everything. Or maybe, you know, changed it up a little tiny bit here and there, but pretty much it's the same everywhere. Everything looks identical. Once you've seen a field and a hedgerow, everything all the way through the rest of the game, like the rest of the map, just looks exactly the same. There is no variation on it whatsoever. There's no little extra bits. And they've specifically said it's been made so that you can easily remove the hedgerows and expand as you want. You could still do that without having it look dead. The whole thing just looked lifeless. And so I was really glad that I hadn't committed myself to using that one. So I was very disappointed with it, because the screenshots, it looked so promising. I thought this could be really, really good. But nope, it just ended up looking dead, lifeless, and I didn't like it. And then I went on to the next one, which was my backup. Because I thought, well, if this one's no good, this backup has definitely got to be good. It's set in a different region, and it's not quite what I'm after, but like looking at the map, it's got to be fantastic. And that one was exactly the same. That was another dead map. And so I've learned a bit from that. Just because you think it's going to be amazing doesn't necessarily make it amazing. And always double check them and really check them over first. I like these. These look kind of like exotic trees. Almost. My first thought was monkey puzzle trees. I mean, they're nothing like a monkey puzzle tree, but kind of like an in-game version of a monkey puzzle. It's not, though. It's more like a... Actually, I don't know what it's like. I like it, though. That's a really cool little tree. But yeah, it was just another dead tree. Trees on the brain now. It was just another dead map. And it was absolutely dead. There was nothing on it whatsoever. All of the hedgerows were identical. All of the fields looked the same. Once you'd seen a field, you'd seen all of the fields. This map here, I don't feel like I've seen it all. I've wandered around and I've seen these bits. And yes, absolutely 100%. We've got wide open areas here, which is all going to be the same. But there's bits, all of this down here, there is no way that that is all going to be the same. There's life in this map, and we do need to go exploring. We definitely need to have a really good look at it. Our roller is doing absolutely fine up here, and the oats over this side has got 800 litres still to go, so he's also going to be fine. So what I'm going to do a minute... Gonna put my money where my mouth is. I got no way of getting all the way down here unless I take one of our tractors or if I walk. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna visit that electric charging station up there. And I'm going to run now all the way to the southern part of the map so that we can have a look and see if this Calmlands map really is as good as I think it is. Because I've not actually been all the way down to that part of the map. Alright, we're running across the open plain, As I've said before, it's a bit difficult to kind of judge the map too harshly on the fact that the open plain does look rather similar all the way across, because that's the whole point of this map. It's an open plain. You don't have to cut down loads of trees in order to be able to get established. I love the fact that we've got these random bushes just scattered here and there across, which I think is a really good touch. I think that's really nice. And then we've got trees here. There's not thousands of them. We've got a little stand of trees. And we come into the middle of it. So we've got a series of tracks and roads all the way around. There's some little bits of timber lying about. There's a nice bridge up there. And I like the use of the stones, the rocks here that are built up around the edge of that. Let's go up this way and take a look at the bridge going over the top. It goes on with... Ah, I see. There. That one comes up over here. Right. Excellent. This looks like the bridge that we've actually got a mod for. So I do wonder whether or not that one is usable. But what you've got is you've got an intersection here of two different tracks. You've got one that goes out the top of the woods that way. And then you got and heads out that way. And then you've also got this one here that heads out this side. So there's a nice little feature there in the middle, in the woods here. So we've got stone banks that are just along the edges. There's a few extra shrubs and stuff in here. Even though this one is probably using only the same amount of textures and shrubs and stuff as the two maps that I've been complaining about that just feel dead and lifeless, this doesn't feel dead and lifeless. This feels like it's part of the terrain. There's... I don't know. It's difficult to explain, but this map doesn't feel, to me, dead and lifeless. This does not feel dead and lifeless at all. We got a bit of water down here. Go for a swim if we want to. Actually, I really like this water hole here. This watering hole. This is fantastic. But it feels alive. Even though there is less on this map than the other two that I was looking at. The other two were established farms. You actually get a built farm, and you can go and you can just go and get going on both of them. The map's covered in fields. They're not open plan, anything like this. They are actual farming fields, all the lot. And they don't have any feel of anything happening like this one does. Now, it does look like we got a rinse and repeat operation going on over here with a bridge again. One going over the other. I actually quite like the idea of the bridge, though, so I'm... But it's not a rinse and repeat at all. I've seen a couple of boulders and I've seen the bridge, and I assumed it was a rinse and repeat, but it's not. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.